You're not broke because you're careless. You're broke because normal life got quietly redesigned to drain you. The scariest part? Most of the pressure you feel isn't coming from big mistakes. It's coming from small, responsible decisions stacking up in the dark. Most people don't fall apart financially because they're reckless. They fall apart quietly while doing everything right. You get the degree, you land the stable job, you start earning real money, and somehow it still feels like you're carrying something heavy you can't quite name. Your 30s don't usually explode, they compress. The pressure builds slowly. A mortgage application here, a retirement calculator there, a parent mentioning a medical issue, a friend talking about college funds for their toddler. You look at your income, the highest it's ever been, and instead of feeling powerful, you feel responsible. That's the shift no one prepares you for. In your 20s, confusion is expected. In your 30s, uncertainty feels like failure. You start thinking, I should have this figured out by now. And every financial decision suddenly feels permanent, like one wrong move could echo for decades. Because the truth is, this decade is different. The financial choices you make in your 30s don't just affect next year, they shape the next 30 years. This is the window where compounding either works for you or silently works against you. And if life feels more expensive than it should, it's not always because you're bad with money. It's because adulthood multiplies. More obligations, more people depending on you, more consequences attached to small mistakes. Welcome to Quietly Broke. If this conversation already feels a little too familiar, subscribe to the channel. It helps support the work and keeps these honest conversations going. Before we go deeper, I want you to answer this. A, I make more money than I used to, but it still doesn't feel like enough. B, I don't make terrible money, but I constantly feel behind. Comment A or B below. I want to see how many of us are carrying this quietly. If the weight you're feeling is real, then the first move isn't to run faster. It's to remove what's quietly pulling you backward. Before wealth, before investing strategies, before chasing higher returns, there's something far less exciting and far more powerful: structural stability. In your 30s, instability is expensive. Consumer debt is the most obvious leak, not because it makes you irresponsible, but because it steals momentum. A few $100s to a credit card, another few hundred to a car payment. Minimum payments that feel manageable month to month, but compound into years of stalled progress. It's not just the interest, it's the opportunity cost. Every dollar servicing old purchases is a dollar that can't build anything new. And during your prime earning decade, momentum matters more than ever. Flexibility matters more than ever. Life in your 30s gets complicated fast. Careers shift, relationships evolve, parents age, health becomes less predictable. When debt is layered on top of that complexity, it reduces your options at the exact moment you need them most. Then there's your credit score, the quiet number that determines how expensive your adulthood will be. A fraction of a percentage point on a mortgage rate can translate into tens of thousands of dollars over time. One missed payment, one careless oversight can linger for years and quietly increase the cost of borrowing. It's not glamorous to monitor it. It's not exciting to keep utilization low and pay everything on time. But adulthood rewards consistency more than intensity. Administrative discipline becomes financial leverage. And then there's the emergency fund, which in your 30s isn't just a rainy day cushion, it's a volatility buffer. 3 months might have worked when your life was smaller. Now your obligations are layered: housing costs, insurance deductibles, dependents, unpredictable repairs. 6 to 12 months of expenses isn't excessive, it's proportional to the complexity of your life. An emergency fund doesn't exist to earn returns, it exists to buy calm, to prevent one unexpected event from turning into debt, to give you the ability to make decisions from strength instead of urgency. This stage isn't about getting ahead yet. It's about stopping the slow bleed. Because once the leaks are sealed, once debt is reduced, credit is protected, and cash reserves exist, something subtle happens. Your money stops reacting to life and starts preparing for it. Once your foundation is stable, growth stops feeling like survival and starts becoming strategy. Your 30s are not just another decade of earning. They are a narrowing window where time is still on your side, but not indefinitely. Compound interest is powerful, but it's selective. It rewards those who give it time, and it quietly punishes those who delay. A common benchmark says that by age 40, you should aim to have roughly 3 times your annual salary invested for retirement. Not because it's a magic number, not because everyone hits it perfectly, but because it represents something deeper: momentum. If you enter your 40s with meaningful capital already working for you, the math becomes cooperative. The market fluctuations still happen, the volatility still exists, but growth compounds on a base that's already strong. Without that base, every future contribution has to work harder just to catch up. The tension is that your 30s are also when lifestyle inflation becomes socially invisible. No one wakes up and decides to sabotage their future. It happens gradually. You earn more, so your life subtly expands: a better neighborhood, a safer car, more convenience, small upgrades that feel justified, and individually, they are. Collectively, they reshape your baseline. The danger isn't extravagance, it's adaptation. Humans normalize quickly. What once felt like a luxury becomes a necessity. What once felt expensive becomes standard. And suddenly, your higher income doesn't translate into higher freedom. It translates into higher maintenance. This is the quiet version of lifestyle creep. Not flashy, not reckless, just incremental. The solution isn't austerity, it's automation. When your income rises, your investments should rise automatically. When you receive a raise, a portion of it should bypass your checking account entirely and move straight into long-term assets. If you save at least half of every increase before your lifestyle adjusts, you protect your future without feeling deprived. Wealth in your 30s is rarely built through dramatic moves. It's built through small percentages compounded consistently over years. 2% more in retirement contributions, automatic transfers to a brokerage account, reinvested dividends that quietly accumulate. You don't need to feel rich in this decade. You need to build systems that allow your future to be rich in options. Because 10 years from now, you won't remember the marginal upgrades, but you will feel the difference between having assets working for you or still working primarily for your expenses. And that difference is created here, in the quiet decisions no one else sees. But money in your 30s isn't just about growth, it's about who that growth is meant to protect. At some point in this decade, the financial conversation stops being individual. Even if you don't have children, even if you're not married, even if you live alone, your life is no longer isolated. There are people connected to you, people who would be affected if something went wrong. That's where responsibility quietly expands. Estate planning sounds like something reserved for the wealthy or the elderly, but in reality, it's about clarity, a basic will, a durable power of attorney, a healthcare directive. These documents don't exist because you expect the worst. They exist because uncertainty is part of adulthood. Without them, decisions default to courts, to bureaucracy, to processes that don't know your values or your intentions. Putting these protections in place isn't dramatic. No one congratulates you for it. But it's one of the most stabilizing acts you can take in your 30s. It turns chaos into structure. It ensures that if something unexpected happens, the people you care about aren't left navigating confusion while already dealing with stress. Then there's your health, the asset that makes every other financial plan possible. In your 20s, your body absorbs stress with surprising resilience. In your 30s, the margin narrows. Sleep becomes negotiable. Stress becomes chronic. Minor neglect compounds into long-term consequences. And over decades, healthcare costs can quietly consume hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the financial impact of health isn't just medical bills. It's lost earning potential, reduced energy, fewer opportunities pursued because you're exhausted. Prevention rarely feels urgent, which is exactly why it's powerful. Consistent movement, regular checkups, managing stress before it manages you. These are not lifestyle upgrades. They're economic safeguards. And if you have children, or plan to, education planning enters the picture. College costs have outpaced inflation for years. Waiting until high school to think about it forces you into compressed decisions. Starting early, even with modest contributions, allows time to carry more of the burden. It's not about guaranteeing everything. It's about reducing pressure later. In your 30s, financial maturity isn't measured by consumption. It's measured by foresight. You're not just funding your current life anymore. You're building structures that protect people, preserve health, and absorb future uncertainty. And that shift from accumulation to stewardship changes how money feels entirely. And when you zoom out, all of it, the debt decisions, the automation, the protection, the planning, points to something deeper than money. The real milestone of your 30s isn't a net worth target, it's financial confidence. Not the loud kind, not the kind that posts screenshots of brokerage accounts or pretends the future is guaranteed. The quiet kind, the kind that lets you sit with uncertainty without spiraling. Financial confidence is knowing your numbers. It's understanding what it costs to run your life each month. It's knowing where your money is going without being afraid to look. It's having systems in place that move in the background so your brain doesn't have to carry every detail at once. When your emergency savings are intact, your investments are automated, your protections are in place, and your obligations are manageable, something shifts internally. The noise lowers. Market dips feel less personal. Unexpected expenses feel inconvenient instead of catastrophic. You stop reacting emotionally to every headline. You stop measuring yourself against someone else's highlight reel. You start making decisions from clarity instead of comparison. This is what integration looks like. Not isolated financial wins, but a structure where the pieces support each other. Your savings protect your investments from being liquidated at the wrong time. Your insurance protects your savings. Your estate documents protect the people your savings are meant for. It becomes a system, not a collection of accounts. Some people build that structure alone. Others work with advisors. Either way, the goal isn't optimization down to the decimal. It's coherence. Your 30s are not about being perfect. They're about being intentional early enough that time can amplify your discipline instead of expose your delays. You don't need to fix everything this year. You need to start stabilizing, automating, and aligning. Because eventually, wealth stops being about how much you have and starts being about how steady you feel. And that steadiness, the ability to move through life without constantly feeling one step behind, may be the most valuable return of all. When you look at your 30s from a distance, it's easy to reduce the decade to numbers: income, savings rate, net worth, interest rates. But up close, it doesn't feel like math. It feels like weight. It feels like responsibility expanding faster than certainty. It feels like trying to build a future while still stabilizing the present. What makes this decade overwhelming isn't that you're failing. It's that you're carrying more variables than ever before. Your income, your housing, your health, your family, your future retirement, they're all running at the same time. And without structure, that complexity turns into anxiety. The deeper lesson here is this: financial peace isn't built from intensity. It's built from alignment. Alignment between your income and your lifestyle. Alignment between your long-term goals and your daily systems. Alignment between growth and protection. You don't need dramatic changes. You need steady structure. In practical terms, that means choosing one pressure point in your life right now and addressing it deliberately. If high-interest debt is draining you, focus there first. If your retirement contributions are inconsistent, automate them. If you have no emergency buffer, begin building one slowly and consistently. Small actions, repeated without emotion, create disproportionate stability over time. The goal isn't to feel rich overnight. It's to stop feeling quietly unstable. Now I'm curious, what feels heavier for you right now? A, day-to-day expenses, or B, long-term future planning? Please comment A or B below and share why. Your perspective might help someone else feel less alone. And if this conversation resonates with you, consider subscribing to the channel. Your support keeps these honest discussions going and helps us continue building meaningful content together.